It's been a nigga in my mind all week. You know this thing? That's what they sing it to. So in Israeli circles, they call this Nigun Sipuri Maisius, that the Rebbe sang this Nigun before he told over one of the tales. Tzarich Ion. You know what I mean? צריכים לבדוק צריכים לשאול את המומחים. You gotta ask the מומחים. We gotta sing one more Nigun, one more good Nigun. I have like 30 Nigunim in my head right now. I was listening to someone yesterday saying that how do you know if you have to make a choice in life, and you have two options in front of you. So Kivyachol, say I'm not really choosing, but I'm going to choose, and let me see how I feel instantly about the choice that I just made, as if I'm doing it. Whichever one feels instantly a little bit less rough, that's the one that you should go with. It may have worked for him. I tried it yesterday. It didn't work for me so much on something. But I'm doing that with my nigun in my head right now. But I go back to this one. It's true. It's true. There's a nigun for Shabbos. Chem das yomim eisai galaza Zeicher maase beleishi Chem das yomim eisai galaza Zeicher maase beleishi Chem das yomim eisai galaza Zeicher maase beleishi Chem das yomim eisai galaza Zeicher So, what's that? If I forgot what the other one was by now, then yeah. Okay. We're good. Yeah. Okay, so the month of Sivan, this is the last Friday of Sivan. Don't forget to wish Yishai Fleischer happy birthday this Shabbos. If you see. It says, this date, I saw him last night, it's his birthday today. So, the sponsor of the month, Dalia Orlev, in memory of his sister, Chana Bat Shmuel Halevi. And the Sawsons in memory of Miriam's Abba, Pinchas Menachem ben Avram David. Zichrono Livrocha, Ira Brown, who was learning with us for a few weeks, was visiting, in honor of his 50th birthday. This week was sponsored by Michael Levi, in memory of his father, Yosef ben Dova Levi, Yechil and Leah Stein. In honor of the daughter, Rachel Tzipora's Bat Mitzvah, Ilana and Reb David Singer, in memory of Reb David's Abba, of Pinchas Tzvi ben David, his 17th Yortzeit. This week, Michal and Yuri Reinitz for the refuah shlema of Yosef ben Esther. That's my other sister's father-in-law who really needs a big refuah shlema, Gershon's Abba. My brother-in-law Gershon, his Abba needs a big refuah shlema. And today, the sponsorship by Batya and David Rich in memory of Batya's mother, Yosefa Bat Yaakov. It's today? It's today. Shabbat Shalom and Aliyah. And be a melitzat yosher and Am Yisrael, and all of us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol na'amid. All right, friends. We're going to finish today Perek Yud Beis and Rav Ya'akov Meir Shechter. Open up and I'll remind you what's been going on over here. Perek Yud Bet Daf Kuf Yud Zayin. Are all the Sfarim out from up there too? Were they brought down? Yeah? Okay, so everyone has? Yofi. Pchot yoter. We started learning 2 weeks ago. Last week was my daughter's Chumash party. It was amazing. Anyone else there from here? Yeah. The other class. It's the best. It's the best. It's in their mechina, and this is like we had our 4 daughters have been by the same. Call him Gardner, Ganan, because it's like Chaim. And it's the same, kimat the same thing every year, but maybe they switch one nigun or something that they sing. It gets higher and deeper every single year. These girls, special. That's for sure. But the whole experience of then your kids get a chumash and they start reading Vayikra El Moshe. Like all my daughters know Perek Aleph more or less Vayikra.
What grade did they get it in?
Kindergarten, pre-1A. What? It's considered pre-1A, right?
Oh, 1A.
Like kindergarten, yeah, before first grade.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. So anyway, that was my hachana for Shabbos last week, but I definitely missed the Kegavna. We learned 2 weeks ago, we were learning about Raza the Shabbos, Ihi Shabbos. We say this thing, Kegavna, from the Zohar Kodesh on Friday night. We were speaking about 2 weeks ago, the secret of one, Raza de Echad, like you see in the bottom of Kuftet Zayin. The secret of one is what he calls here the Menucha of Shabbos. That the real rest a person gets on Shabbos has very little to do with, and don't quote me on this because it can be taken out of context, as it was once. The real rest someone gets on Shabbos has very little to do with the amount of hours he slept. You're all thinking do not tell my wife this these words right now. It's not so much about how many hours I slept, in order to connect to the menucha shlema she'ata rotze, about the type of rest we're speaking about, but rather it has to do with the soul meeting with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, of when I feel that everything is okay and everything is from Him, and there's nothing that I have to do in this world, like we've been talking about. He's basically telling us that's what gives us the real rest in this world. It's one day a week where I actually am resting due to the state of what Shabbos brings down to the world, which I don't want to go fully back in again, but that's called Raza de Echad, the secret of one, that everything is to Him, everything came from Him, He's making it all happen right now, and He decided that right now He doesn't want you to be doing anything. That's the secret of one, in a nutshell, okay? It's much deeper than what I said right now, but that's more or less why and tonight you could have this Kegavna, Raza de Shabbos, Shabbos. What's the secret of Shabbos? Dis achadas beraza de echad, that it comes together in oneness with the secret of one. That's what we were learning 2 weeks ago. We saw the Shla, And today we're going to continue in the middle of the right column in Kuf Yud Zayin. And he's speaking about the opposite of when a person has the exact... Like, if I asked you, what's the exact opposite of menucha? Of a person feeling menucha? What would you say the word is even?
Stress.
Da'aga, stress, work, worry, balagan, bilbul. What did you say? Strife. It's amazing. We have no problem finding words for the opposite of menucha, right? Give me another word for menucha.
Google.
So, he's saying, now, what's the le'umadze? We described on Shabbos, on meeting HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everyone in an individual place, in their own place of everything is kol melachtecha asuya, everything is set. Everything is connected to the secret of one. Now let's go to the other side of what that kind of life isn't like. All right? Now this is painful, but it's pretty true. Ule'umad zeh, en chisaron ve'ason gadol yoter mizeh shehanivra menutak mibor'o. The greatest ason is a catastrophe. The greatest catastrophe a person can go through in this world is when you are menutak, when you're disconnected from your Creator. Ki az hu hanefesh ha'umlala biyoter, because that type of person is the most miserable soul that exists. Living a life being disconnected and detached from Hashem Yisbarach. Ki az hu badad ve'galmod, ki atom belo av u'belo meker u'moda. Ulevasof hu ne'evad ve'nidach mikerev ha'aretz, Rachmana litzlan. That a person like that is like a child without a father. It's a person without anyone that he knows. And eventually you become the quintessential loner by choice until basically no one even notices you're around, especially yourself. Yeah, it pays being connected. You know, it's like, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it being, like, tuning in to what is actually in front of you on Shabbos. Every day, but especially on Shabbos, because there's nothing more lonely than a person that isn't seen and doesn't even see himself.
It's really amazing that how both the piece that's they do such a great job of showing the imagery of what.
It's an amazing art. It's a very deep thing. I think it's because they actually are singing in front of their eyes when they're talking. There's no way you can just make this stuff up unless you're singing in front of your eyes. Baiter kasher hanivra davuk babore. When you and I, we're Pashut creations, when we have moments, when we have days that we feel a little bit of dvekus, al zeh amar David HaMelech alav hashalom, todi'eni or achaim sova smachos es panecha. This is one of my favorite psukim. Todi'eni or achaim, what does that mean? Let me know, inform me of the ways of life, how to walk the streets of the world, how to live, how to choose to live. Sova smachot et panecha. The satiation of happiness will be when I'm with you face to face. And then the pasuk continues, Sova smachos panecha ne'imos biyamincha netzach, right? But what he means to say over here is that the real great simcha that a person has in this world is not only by knowing what the right thing is to do, but it's by feeling that I'm kivyachol face-to-face with Hashem, even though we know no one was face-to-face and lives, but as if there's a feeling of meeting Hashem face-to-face. Sova smachos es panecha. And he says that's referring to the future. Shezeh al ha'atid ne'emar. This is said about the future. Kfi perush Rashi shama. Sheyagia lesova smachos es panecha. When you reach this place of sova smachos es panecha, li ne'imus biyamincha netzach, shehu ha'osher hagadol beyoter, the greatest happiness anyone could ever have. Like if we ask that question sincerely, and I'd ask you, what's the greatest thing? What would make you the happiest in the world, right? So by now, I'm sure no one would say here money, right? But say there. By now, hopefully. Now, if I asked you, like, so think about it a little bit deeper. What would make you happiest in this world?
My children to be healthy and happy.
What's that?
Exactly what Dave said, but continuing also in the path of Torah.
That they continue in the path of Torah because we believe that is the source of true happiness in this world. What else? Huh? לא שומע אותך, אחי.
Mashiach's arrival.
Mashiach's arrival. יפה. Now, and I'm talking about a consciousness, a state of consciousness, what will make you the most happiest in the world.
Fulfilling our purpose.
Feeling that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in this world.
Knowing God.
Knowing Hashem. וידעת את Hashem. כי את האושר, bottom line, כי את האושר והתענוג הגדול הזה, אין אנו יכולים להשיג בשום אופן בעולם הזה. This reminds us yesterday. We were learning in Reb Tzadok HaKohen, Tzidkas HaTzadik Kuf Ayin, in the women's shir. There was one line there, I don't know where the page is, you have to see it inside, where Reb Tzadok says, Kula Ayin, העולם הזה, כולו ברובו רע.
From the Zohar.
Kulo berubo. The Yesod is from the Zohar. Reb Tzadok's Lashon is Reb Tzadok's Lashon. The way he said it was so Reb Tzadok, he was amazing. So you have to understand. Well, how could you, and then we were trying to understand, how could Reb Tzadok HaKohen say that Olam Hazeh is Ruba Kechulo Ra? How could you say such a thing? And we were basically explaining that Leumat, what's waiting for us, it's Ruba Ra. While you're in it, you have to believe Yesh Po Tov Limtzo, right? But Leumat, what's waiting for us, it is Ra. Well, when do we get a taste of what's waiting for us? Shabbos. Me'ein Olam Haba. Yom Shabbos Menucha. The Menucha we feel on Shabbos is a taste of what's waiting for us. And in comparison to everything else, this is in this world, Gornish mit Gornish, yeah.
It's the Nakuda of Kulam of the Ra, that it's sonus. In terms of the Paratanya, it's Alomas, and as you go higher and more spiritual, more inward, more lineous, that's where the good is. So that it's only talking about the externality is that.
But we're in a Gashmi world. I think that's what he's trying to say.
That's what it, yeah.
We're
But we don't live in that world. We live here. You had
We
to,
have an inner world within.
but you had to wake up and put on clothes today to be respectable, right?
But that's also clothing of my soul.
We're going a different direction. Let's stick to where we're sticking over here. Okay, again, כי את העושר התענוג הגדול הזה, אין אנו יכולים להשיג בשום אופן בעולם הזה. אנו רק יכולים לומר אותו בפה, כי לאמיתו של דבר התענוג האמיתי נזכר רק לעתיד לבוא. וזהו כל התכליס של התורה והמצוות וכל עבודתנו בעולם הזה. It's an amazing thing. I think what he's saying is that there's no way in the world that we could have kept this dance going of believing that one day we'll taste the real good, unless Hashem said, and every week I'm going to give you one day to taste what I'm talking about. And
160, Chad Meshishim.
what do you mean?
Shabbos is a Chad Meshishim.
Me'ain.
Chad Meshishim.
But what I'm saying is, like, even the smallest taste, that has kept us going throughout this whole, whatever you want to call it, pretty long tkufa, yeah. It's been a pretty long season over here.
Well, you're saying Chad Meshishim is such a small drop.
And that
Imagine
keeps
times
us,
2, times 3,
and
times
that
4.
keeps us satiated, and that's an unbelievable thing. Nachon?
If I told you to pick a Shabbos, do it times 2. You'd already be like an ecstasy. I told you times 3. So Olam Haba is times 60.
By the way, that's why I was learning yesterday that Moshe Rabbeinu, who's the Bechina of Shabbos, couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. You know why? Because if the real Shabbos in Olam Hazeh went into Eretz Yisrael of Olam Hazeh, there'd almost be a bittul of Metzias. No one could handle it because of what you're saying. It'd be too much. It'd explode. There'd be no Metzias of it. Yismach Moshe Matnas Chelko. What's his chelik? Shabbos. We learned this. So if he went into Eretz Yisrael the way that he was, he'd be tasting the full 60th be'olama. And it wouldn't be able to miskayim. This should all be our problem in life. Omnam, next paragraph. Im kilav kol echad zocher lechaven karaui kavana zo. But what happens if you don't have a Shabbos, that you're not able to really mechaven this inyan of the secret of oneness and menucha? Ve'if shal lizbonen ba'yeser elamida. V'hu sod tamir v'ne'elam. In kol zeh. עם כל זה, זהו התכליס, שיסגל להרזה דאחד כראוי, שהוא הנוים הגדול ביוסף, והגן עדן הגדול ביוסף, שהוא הזיו השכינה, שהוא תכליס הבריאה. So he's saying, nonetheless, even if a person can't have the proper kavana of understanding how to appreciate the gift of Shabbos, so what he's saying over here is, at least when you're saying Kegavna, and you say, Raz de Shabbos I Shabbos, this achadas beraza de echad, at least for a moment, just say, I know that the closest I'll get to tasting what I'm going to taste in the next world is happening right now in this moment. At least have that moment.
You understand it, but you
Yeah,
know it's true.
can't understand it.
Right.
None of us understand it, I don't think. But at least acknowledging it. And that's the invite that Kegavna, remember this perek is all about what the tefillahs of Leil Shabbos, what they're inviting us to do, how they're inviting us into the picture. So he's saying over here about Kegavna, about this Raza, the Shabbos, Ihi Shabbos, there's an invitation from the Zohar Kadosh on Friday night saying, acknowledge that what's available for you right now is a 60th, well, like Azriel is saying, is a te'ima of what's waiting for you in the next world. Gan Eden, and this is the greatest Gan Eden in the world, Shehu Aziv V'Ashchina Shutach Lisabriya, V'zeh Yegale, also Shir Nifla Sheyechaya Es Kol Abriya, there'll be a Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos, there's going to be an amazing song, V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash, there'll be a new song. That new song, he says, is going to enliven all of creation. I heard Rav Shlomo say once, is that V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash could mean that we'll finally sing a song. Am Yisrael is going to keep the melody, and suddenly the nations of the world will finally give the right harmony, and it'll all fit in. And then V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash, that'll be a song that's going to enliven Kol Abriya Kula. Like I used to think, what's that niggun? Let me find out what that. Let me write that niggun. Let me figure out what that niggun. I remember when we first started singing. I think you were already here. Like the first time, I don't know if any of you were here, when we started performing and singing, right? That was already 9 years after he died, that niggun. And
when Shaul sang it for the first time on the Moshe on Friday night, he went for 3 hours.
Everyone, their first with that niggun, everyone felt this is it. Like this is the game changer one. This is Gamarno. This is like. But it's not dafka that, but whatever that niggun is going to be, it's going to mechaya the whole bria. It's going to wake up all of creation. It's going to enliven all of creation, like it says over here. Shetia simcha she'en la ketz mitzad ha'izgalus hanifla, says this, v'zeh yeh la'asid lavo. He says, you think you get high on a Friday night dancing around the bima? I mean, it's good. It's the best in comparison to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In comparison to what's going to be, do you know what kind of a bima is going to be? Do you know what kind of zmiros? Do you know what kind of nigunim are going to be? So invite that awareness on Friday night as like, wow, Hashem, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe this is just a te'ima of all te'imas of what you have in store for me and for all of us. These yisodos mechazik our emuna tremendously. These give us strength. Just these principles that he's bringing down to us give us strength to hold on that much stronger. Now, who's able to always be in this state of always being aware of it's worth waiting, it's worth holding on, because that's really what this word is. It's kedai, to hold on. So here, it's very rare in this sefer, in Bichlal, in Rav Ya'akov Meir Shechter's Torahs. He, as opposed to many Breslover publications, he doesn't emphasize the role of the tzaddik so much. Not so much.
More klali.
Yeah. For us, it's been a very, for many people, it's actually been what enables them to feel a little bit more mekusher to the way that he brings down Chassidus and brings out Rabbi Nachman. For me, it's definitely been much easier to approach like this. Yes?
Maybe he's a bigger Talmud Chacham in that sense.
What's that?
I don't mean to be rude to all the rest of the Mashpim, but he's a bigger Golden in Torah, so he's able to connect all the Neshamas.
I don't want to be rude to other tzaddikim either. Yes, but I don't want to be. Yeah. No, he's. We know he's somewhere else. So he says like this: Hatzadik shehu bechinas Moshe, gam b'chaim chiyuso, hu achuz beraza de'echad. This place we're talking about tasting the secret of oneness, la'asid lavo, they're already in it here. Hu achuz gam b'chayav bashir sheyisar la'asid. They're already singing the nigun that we spoke about that will be waking up all of creation. Do you see tzaddikim sometimes, what they look like? How is it they look like what they look like? It's because they're already singing that nigun in this world. My brother sent me yesterday, his mashpia in Eretz Yisrael is Rav Zucker. Have you heard of Rav Zucker, anyone?
Shmuel Zucker,
He's unbelievable.
in Ramat Eshkol.
He's unbelievable. We know him for many years. And he is very close to the Amshon of a Rebbe. He just married off a daughter. And he went with his chuten and the son-in-law to get a bracha from the Rebbe. I have to, please nudge me after Shir to send the video to you. It is them sitting like this, the Rebbe here, three of them here. There's a camera right there in front of them. I couldn't believe how close the camera was. And if you know anything about Amshon of a Rebbe, he looks into your eyes for, I don't know, it seems like eternity. And he says to you, Toivim Uleshulayim. And the way, what he's giving over to you through that l'chaim, you'll never get in 35 years learning in a base medrash. I guarantee you. When I first had this experience, I was 17 or 18. Yachad took me. Shmali took you. Yachad took me. A shvuas, I think it was shvuas. I could not believe this was in this world. So he's saying, how do people live like this? They're already singing the nigun of what we're describing. Everyone's going to hear one day. They're already singing the nigun. Now this is kind of based on Azamra, if you think about it, on Reish Pei Beis, because everyone knows the beginning of Azamra, right? You have to also judge everyone favorably. You have to judge yourself favorably. But how do you do that, right? So, and he goes into the Torah. Rabbi Nachman speaks in 282, which Reb Nassan quoted from Rabbi Nachman, that everyone has to live with Azamra every day. It's called the collecting of the good nekudos. You collect everyone's good notes. And then musical notation comes out that if you collect everyone's nekudos tovos, as if you're writing a music chart, you end up with the greatest nigun ever written in the world. That if you can me'ayr in each person a good nekuda about them, that becomes a note that's shayach to you, and you wrote a nigun. And that nigun is the most gorgeous nigun in the world. Lagamre. I mean, Dovid Malka Mashiach lived like this. So you see, by the real tzaddikim, they're already singing this nigun that they wrote in this world, which is part of the nigun that's going to enliven the whole world. Tzaddik kazeh, bottom line, yesh bo koach leotzi gam et elu shenaflu b'chalal hapanui hazeh. This tzaddik can lift up people that have fallen into the vacuum, b'chalal hapanui. What's the vacuum? That's that dangerous place that Rabbi Nachman warned people never to go close to. ששם יש קושיות כאלו שאי אפשר להתחמק מהם בשום אופן, כי כל באיה לא ישובון. כמבואר בסימן סמך ד'. He's speaking about a place of questions that people get into. It's called a black hole. It's called a place that no man has come out of there alive or healthy. And the tzaddik can even take a person that fell so deep into that place of the self-destruction and even lift him up out of there. Tzaddik kazeh yesh bo koyach lehayir he'ara v'noyam gam le'elu. So this tzaddik, he's able to shine such a bright light and sweetness even to those people, thus enabling him to continue writing his nigun. This nigun, this, I can't imagine like how many, every time someone gets chiyus from the Torah of a tzaddik and it makes them feel alive, they added a note to the tzaddik's nigun. Michal Shapiro has a nigun on this concept of a nigun. So you see, by Rav Ya'akov Meir Shechter, you walk into his office. It seems like his grandchildren kidnapped him 2 weeks before, then someone kidnapped him a week later, and you walk into his office, and he's sitting there, and this face, and you're wondering, what's going on? He's like, Raza de Echad. Like if there was a meme, right, popping up. Raza de Echad. There's all these things going on, and I'm part of this world. Raza de Echad. That's why in the Gemara we know that who called Reb Shimon Shabbos? Who used to refer to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai as Shabbos? Does anyone remember? He used to refer to certain Tanaim as Shabbos because they were always in this state of Raza de Echad, always, no matter what. When Rev Ginsburg walked in here, and he was here, I couldn't believe it. He was in dialysis the day before. He was going back to dialysis a day later. He comes in here, 77 years old, I think, walks in, sits down, and 2.5 hours later, talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. He wanted to name the shir Bringing Moses Down to Earth. That's what he said. Remember? I forgot what the name of the shir. It was Zayin Adar. That's what we were talking about. So, Otpam, these nekudot we're seeing by Rav Ya'akov Meir Shechter is Kegavna, is not just inviting you to be aware of what you're going to expect, what you should expect in the next world. It's even kind of telling you, let me give you a taste of the tzaddikim, of what they're living every single moment. The isachadas beraza de echad, right? I don't know how anyone can daven Nusach Ashkenaz after learning, No, I forgot.
I asked the Shiloh.
It's okay.
Can I share something that I saw this week, which ties into this concept?
Sure.
So it was a story about one of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe's. And he was a child, and he was playing, it was one, I don't remember which Rebbe it was, but he had an older brother, and his mother was watching them play Rebbe and Chassid. And they were playing, and the younger brother, who was going on to become the Rebbe, he was the Chassid, and he came to his older brother, and he asked him some kind of a shaila, and his brother gave him an eitzah. And his mother watched, and he saw that the younger brother didn't follow through on the eitzah. So she came over to him and said, what's going on? He said, it's clear to me that my brother will never be a Rebbe, because a real Rebbe sees you and feels the pain, so with what I brought him, he would have let out a sigh. He didn't sigh. So there's no reason to talk. So what is it? It's echad. They don't see a separation. They feel the pain of the person coming through. So
Chaim, was the Maharash or the Tzemach Tzedek, this
I
story?
forget which one.
It's either the Tzemach Tzedek or the Maharash, yeah? Yeah.
Ashkenazim can also have, if you do a different shot in Shomer B'Zachar B'Diborecha. So you can say that Shomer B'Zachar represent what Shabbos is. It says in Rosa. It has to be with the concept of Echa.
Okay. That's their Yetzias Yedei Choiva of this. Okay, thank you. Everyone feel better? I mean,
no,
not yet. You have to have extra kavana there. All right, the last thing, just very cute. Shamati kad avina talia beloshon targum echad hu chad chaser aleph me'echad. Lochen nosaf ha'alef b'Shabbos v'zeu raza de Shabbos Shabbos dichachadas beraza de echad. It's basically here. It's just a play on words, because how do you say Shabbos in Aramaic? Shabsan, right? How do you say echad in Aramaic? Chad. Chad, or usually chad, right? So you take the aleph from Shabbos and you put it into the aleph of echad, and it makes it one. And b'chol ofen, I just want to give us a bracha that Shabbos should never, ever, ever become old to us. It's just like the experience of our children at a Shabbos table, or being with our parents' Shabbos table. These things should never, ever, ever become old to us. Olamos al gabe olamos, worlds and generations, are sometimes dependent on how one Shabbos meal can go, about how one Shabbos could be. Just one experience of taking advantage of the Raza de Echad, Hashem Shel Rachmanis on us, and it should never, ever get old. Even if we're singing similar nigunim, even if we're with the same people, in the world, the whole Bria is mischadish. The whole universe is renewing itself. We have to just be connected to this notion through the invitations that the tefillah itself provides for us. Just one last example. What's the first thing we say on Friday night, Kabbalah Shabbos? Lechu niranena laHashem. So what's Lechu talking about? Lechu, he's saying, is basically telling all the nations of the world, Lechu. You have to all go away. Why? Because we're here in niranena laHashem, private party. Right? And it is. And every single, we're not finished, because you see we're going to continue with this mirrors also, but everything about Friday night specifically is all an invitation of mindfulness and consciousness and awareness of what's happening mimela. You may as well be in tune with what's actually happening, so that Shabbos and none of these inyanim ever get old. They always stay fresh, and they always stay exciting and sustaining and satiating our neshamas in this world and in every world. L'ol me'ad. Shekoyach, everyone. Have a wonderful Shabbos.